Don't mention the reptiles, Dave.
Even less is said about the Grey Pope, who some believe to be the true ruling power in the Vatican.
Humans emitting a MAC address.
All of them had Bluetooth signals.
I've never seen it before.
Queuing up to transition their children.
This is the ultimate suicide cult.
What if the symbols around us every day aren't just ornamental?
We lost 1,000 years of history.
What if they're instruction?
That state of awareness is not manipulatable.
I've been to, must be over 60 countries till I started getting banned from loads of them. 30 European countries and Australia currently, for the crime of challenging conventional belief. In the early 1990s, it was all about, the synchronicity of my life was all about this global cult, this network of secret societies. So let's start with that. And within the human realm, the human dimension, which is tiny, actually, just a band of frequency, there is this network of secret societies. Now, if people could vision or visualize a spider's web around the planet, it's a good way of explaining it. And each of the strands in the web is a secret society or a semi-secret group, or it's in the realm of the scene, it's a government or government agency or corporation or Silicon Valley or World Health Organization. And in the middle of this, this web is the spider. And the spider is not in this dimension of reality. What I call the spider is in another dimension of reality, which is known as the astral dimension, which interpenetrates this one. See, one of the real challenging things to get this stuff across is to break through people's, I say, programmed sense of reality. And I've said many times that at the earliest time that a child can grasp this, they should be told that when they look through their eyes, they're not seeing everything in the space they're looking at. They're looking at a tiny band of frequency called visible light by scientists, which is the only band of frequency that we can see. And yet, all the other frequency bands of realities and of infinity actually exist in the same space that I'm sitting in now. But we can't see them because this, what I call biological computer, is programmed to decode visually only that tiny band of frequency. I don't think that's an accident, by the way. And so people talk about seeing a UFO appear out of nowhere, or seeing an entity appear out of nowhere at the end of the bed and then disappear into nowhere. But what you have with the programmed sense of normal is the immediate reaction that that's not possible. Orthodox science, which is just another religion, would say the same. That's not possible. But it is. It's absolutely possible. Because what happens is the craft, or the entity, whatever, enters visible light, this tiny band of frequency that we can see. And when it enters to the observer, it's come out of nowhere, because it's just entered your field of vision. And then when it leaves, just changes its frequency, it seems to disappear into nowhere. So first of all, when people talk about heaven or whatever, God, they look up, don't they? Oh, it's heaven. But it's not like that. Reality is not made up of chest of drawers, one on top of the other. They interpenetrate the same space, just like radio stations and television stations that share the same space but don't interfere with each other unless they're very, very close on the dial. If you've got a radio and you tune it to radio A, you get radio A. If you move the dial and you tune it to radio B, you get radio B. But radio A doesn't cease to broadcast just because you've gone to radio B. It continues to broadcast. It's that your set's no longer picking it up. It's no longer in tune with it. And so infinity exists in the same space that I'm sitting in now, and you're sitting in, and everyone's sitting in. But we can only pick up this visible light frequency in terms of what we can see. And so you have this other dimension where these entities operate from that is being served in its agenda for humanity by this global cult. So the spider, the center of the web, is in another dimension of reality, very close to this one, by the way, but beyond visible light. And so then you look at the strands immediately around the spider within the human realm of the cult, and they are the most exclusive secret societies. They will know pretty much the big picture of what's going on. And those people don't put themselves on public display. If you can see one of these cultists in the public arena, like your Gateses and your Swabs and all these people, then they're gophers. They might be rich gophers, but they're gophers. They're serving. They're not the origin. And so you come then out from those exclusive secret societies deep in the shadow.
Are these societies that we have names for? Like, you know, is it Priory of Sion, or are these unknown elements still to us?
The point of those is interesting to me over the years. The point of those societies, those secret societies that are really exclusive and have relatively few people in them, a lot of them don't have names. Because you try to track something that doesn't have a name. It's not easy. But then you're coming out from them, and then you hit the ones that do have names. You hit the Knights of Malta, the Knights Templar, the inner core of the Jesuit order, Opus Dei, and so on, and the Skull and Bones Society in the United States that's produced so many presidents and power, people with political power, etc.
Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go wild.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us?
Not much, because it's a secret.
Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code?
I wish there were something secret I could manifest.
322, a secret number?
There are all kinds of secrets.
These secret societies at that level are fiercely compartmentalized, like I say. So if you get the Freemasons, people say it's the Freemasons. It's not. It's the inner core of the Freemasons. That's what it is. All these secret societies are broken up, like the Freemasons, into levels of degree. And what's that? Degree of knowledge. Most Freemasons in the world, in the 33 degrees of the Scottish Rite, are in the bottom 3 levels of degree, the so-called blue degrees. That's all that, as far as they get.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's any world domination happening at the local lodge just down the road from me.
But people think that's what you're saying. That's the thing.
Exactly.
I know Freemasons. They're not trying to run the world. No, they're not. Bill and Joe down the lodge. No, they're not. They might think, oh yeah, we're going to get a good deal with the local planning guy who's also in the lodge or whatever. But they're not trying to run the world. And the Freemasons at that level have been described as like a show army to absolutely hide what's going on behind it. And, over the years, I remember back in the 1990s, I talked to Freemasons, high Freemasons, and read books by Freemasons who'd left the so-called craft and wanted to expose it. And they were getting to the 33rd degree of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. They're apparent at top level. And they were still kept in the dark of what's actually happening. Because when you get to the top of these secret societies like the Freemasons, there's another level above them, and you only get into that if you are seriously in the game, in the club, and willing to serve it without question. So all these secret societies work like this, but you get the more exclusive ones, and you know the range of people who will know the bigger picture will be more than you'll get in a massive secret society network like the Freemasons. So the idea is the agenda for humanity from the spider comes out through these secret societies, and eventually it hits a point in this web that I call the cusp, and that is where you'll find the World Economic Forum, the Bilderberg Group, the Council on Foreign Relations, the United Nations inner core. If you want to do a modicum of research, you can find that they exist, like, for instance, the Club of Rome. The Club of Rome was created in 1968 specifically to exploit and invent environmental concerns to justify the centralization of power. And also at this cusp level, you have this vast number of NGOs, non-governmental organizations, and think tanks. And again, they're fiercely compartmentalized. Only a few people will know what they're there for. But the role of the cusp organizations is to, and the World Economic Forum is a classic, is to take the agenda coming from the spider, from the hidden secret society network, and to play it out into the public arena as government policy and the direction of the world. And so when you get out into the world of the scene and you're looking at left-wing parties and right-wing parties, this network, this cult, is controlling ultimately both of them, and the center come to that. It's controlling them either directly in terms of some individuals, and it's controlling them through perceptual manipulation, or this is what we should do, and it's controlling them through, if necessary, blackmail. This is what the Epstein network was all about, and you have these organizations like, say, Silicon Valley and the World Health Organization, the World Trade Organization, and so on, the World Bank, IMF, European Union. They are, again, massively compartmentalized. But if you go deep enough into them, like most people in the World Health Organization, they turn up, they do their job, and they go home. And they do their job on the basis of what people above them tell them their job is and how they should do it. So it's a very small number, comparatively, with the employees of the World Health Organization that actually are connected to this cult. But that's all you need, as long as they're in the positions of power.
Mention now names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin, and so on. They all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. Mm-hmm. But what we are very proud of now is the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina, and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more, half of this cabinet are actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
And so if you go deep enough in these organizations, governments, government agencies, and World Health Organization, whatever, Silicon Valley corporations, you meet that level of the organization that attaches to the cult. And at that level, attaches to the web of this cult. And at that level, they're all on the same team and they're all working to the same end. And the vast majority of people, even within those organizations, have no idea that that's the case. And so if you look back at COVID, you had the World Health Organization, which was created by the Rockefellers with Rothschild input in 1948, with the goal of controlling global health policy from a central point, which they're, well on the way to achieving. They certainly did during COVID. And so they, through the World Health Organization, which is run basically by Bill Gates on behalf of the Rockefellers. There's a massive connection going way back between the Rockefellers and the Gates family. And this totally corrupt Ethiopian bloke, Tedros, who's the apparent head of the World Health Organization. And they put out how the world in the different countries should respond to COVID. And most of the countries did what the World Health Organization said. But where I'm going with this is that the Silicon Valley corporations, the social media corporations, they said right at the start of all this that they were going to censor those that were challenging the World Health Organization version of COVID and all the regulations. Well, I mean, April 2020, I was off every social media platform, gone, all of them, when I was calling out the hoax. And
I made a YouTube channel just to test the waters on like specifically COVID related research, and I think in 2 weeks it was taken down. Like nothing could survive that period, big or small.
So what you do, if you're not aware of this web, Jay, what you do is you look at that situation and you go, what's going on? These corporations are supposed to be the town square, as they say in America. They're supposed to be where we have debate and different opinion. What's going on? Well, they're just censoring everybody. But when you realize that about the web, the fact that COVID was an agenda of the web, you then see what was happening. The World Health Organization, go deep enough, attaches to the web. The Silicon Valley corporations go deep enough, they attach to the web. And so what you've had was the web censoring any challenge to the web's World Health Organization. You had the big pharma corporations like Pfizer and Moderna and these people. They were going to the government agencies that were supposed to protect the public from big pharma. I think MHRA in Britain and the CDC and the FDA in America. And they were asking for permission to give this fake, not under previous criteria, to younger and younger people, right down to babies. And they were getting it. And I'm looking on. I mean, because I understood the web, I could see why it was happening. But if you didn't, you'd look at it and you say, well, hold on a minute. Why are these agencies, government agencies, giving permission to these pharmaceutical corporations to give this fake, as they would perceive it, when the trials are negligible? What's happening? And then when you realize about the web, you realize that big pharma go deep enough, attaches to the web. The government protection agencies from big pharma go deep enough, they attach to the web. And you had the web giving permission to the web to give the fake of the web to younger and younger kids. And there's very serious reasons for why they wanted to do that. And so this secret society web I call the global cult is manipulating events within human society on behalf of this non-human force in this other dimension of reality. And, like I said earlier, you constantly ask the question, if you're really, really interested in the truth. First of all, if you're interested in the truth, all preconceived idea and belief has to go. evidence has to be your guide, not preconceived idea or religious belief or any of it. You just have to let your mind open and go where the information takes you. But because you keep asking, what don't I know? You go deeper and deeper into the web. So once I'd started to establish this global cult situation in the 1990s, early 1990s, mid 1990s, I thought, okay, but when did this start? Because this obviously hasn't been going on for a few years. When did this start? And you go back as best you can, and you can follow it through into the ancient world. And since the ancient world, it's been expanding and expanding its reach until it was now global. Long time.
Can you talk a little bit about that, just for people that don't know about the references in antiquity to this type of intervention and non-human interaction? What was it that stuck out for you from the ancient past that became data points?
Well, the question I had was, observing this, is as you go back into ancient Rome, you go back into Babylon and Egypt, and you see these how these secret societies emerged out of there. And other places. You ask the question, well, hold on a sec. People, this goes back a long way, okay? We can debate how long, but it goes back a long way. And so people have been born, they've played a part in advancing this agenda, which they were never going to see come to fruition in that lifetime. And then they die, and then other people do it, come in, and they do the next, and on it goes. And my question was, well, there has to be some orchestrating force that's overseen all this. And in this same period, this synchronistic period that where I was looking at this, that's when the non-human element started to come into my life synchronistically, with the 12 different people in 15 days in America were telling me the same thing in different cities of their experience. And you don't hear one piece of information and then say, so that's it then. The way I work anyway is I'm looking all the time for patterns. I'm looking for instance, at patterns of agreement. There's lots of things that people disagree on, but when you've got religions and religious texts and the ancient texts in various forms, and there are areas that they all agree on, then that I find extremely compelling and worth pursuing. And one of the things that religions and, if you like, non-religious, cultural, shamanistic streams of knowledge agree on is that human society is manipulated from the unseen, from a force from the unseen. So if you look at the Christian belief system, they talk about Satan or the devil. You look at Islam, they talk about Shaitan. You look at the Gnostic belief system, they talk about Yod-Baoth or the demiurge, their version of Satan, the devil. And they talk about archons, which is a word, a Greek word meaning rulers. That's all that means when people say archons, it means rulers. And the Gnostic writings that were found at a place called Nag Hammadi in Egypt in 1945 in an earthen jar, which appeared to go, maybe more than one earthen jar, that go back, at least it's estimated, to around 400 AD when they were hidden. They talk about this demiurge Yod-Baoth character, consciousness, I would see that as, creating these archons, rulers, to serve its interests. And this, when you look at the Christian version of this, it's Satan created his demons. He runs his host of demons, and in Islamic belief, you have the jinn, and who are the jinn? They are entities in the unseen that are manipulating human society, and you see this common theme everywhere. You know, I talk to shamans and carriers of ancient knowledge through the ages, like a man who became a great friend of mine, Credo Mutwa in South Africa, the Zulu shaman and official historian. And he was telling me, I've spent hours and hours and hours and days and days and days with this guy over a period. And he was telling me the ancient Zulu stories and legends that mirrored what I've just been describing, that there's an unseen force manipulating human society. You go anywhere in the world, you'll find the same. Another interesting thing which I include in a book, where is it? Can't give me a hand there, called The Roadmap, which is just out, is looking at the fact that, you know, we talk about pantheons of gods, like the Greek gods and Zeus and the Egyptian pantheon of gods and the Roman pantheon of gods. But what you find is all over the world, there were these pantheons of gods. And, well, who were these pantheons of gods? Well, of course, they were called different things because they were different languages, different cultures. But the penny drops when you realize that they are the same entities that they're describing. And they were doing sacrificial rituals to them. They were sacrificing people to the gods. And it's something that had happened in my research into this global cult, was that these cultists, often very famous people, number of which I name in the books, they were involved in satanic ritual, are involved in satanic ritual today, and human sacrifice ritual. Came across all this, first of all, in the 1990s. And you hear this, and you're told this by many different sources, a number of which have actually directly experienced it. And you think, obviously, why? What do you think? So and so and so and so and so and so are involved in satanic human sacrifice ritual. What are you talking about? Crazy, man. But then you remember the ancients were doing human sacrifice rituals openly.
The Canaanites.
Openly to the gods. Yep. And they were a gift to the gods. And then I obviously asked the question, a gift to the gods. So what do the gods get out of it? What's their gift? And why are they still doing it? And of course, the answer of what is the gift is the reason they're still doing it today in secret, as they were doing it openly in the ancient world. Because one of the things that I've learned over the years is that this simulated reality has been created to hijack human perception, and through this global cult, manipulate human society to generate wars, suffering, deprivation, all these situations and states that generate in humans low vibrational energy. This is a big key to why this world is as it is. This is mainstream science. Every time we think, and every time we we emotionally react. We are giving off an energy. We're giving off frequencies that relate to the nature of the thought and the nature of the emotion. So joy, love, peace, happiness, appreciation, harmony, they are high frequencies. They are high, fast frequencies. The frequencies of fear, anxiety, depression, regret, hatred, resentment, conflict, war are low, slow frequencies. Well, it just turns out, because the question obviously that I had was, okay, when I kind of crossed the line, this is a simulation, just after the turn of the millennium. The question was, what the bloody hell? Why would anyone want to do this? Why would they create a simulation to hijack human perception? And then it becomes clearer and clearer that these entities are feeding off low vibrational human energy because they themselves, because of what they do, are in a low vibrational state. So they can only absorb low vibrational energy because that's their frequency, which immediately drops the penny that they have absolutely no interest whatsoever in a world of love, of joy, of harmony, and of appreciation, peace, harmony. None. That's not the energy they want. They want the other type. And so what they have is this network of secret societies constantly manipulating the world towards more and more and more control. Now we're heading towards AI human fusion. Been their goal all along. And also they're manipulating these wars, these conflicts, this deprivation, this conflict, this emotional low vibrational energy, which a guy called Robert Monroe dubbed loosh, this low vibrational energy, loosh. And Robert Monroe is an interesting guy because he was I think he was a radio executive, a media executive. But he had this ability, he wrote many books on it, to project his consciousness into this astral dimension and explore it, experience it. And he said that one of the things he learned in these astral travels, as they're called, was that these entities are feeding off low vibrational human energy. And so in a sacrificial ritual, you have the victim in a state manipulated and built up of extreme levels of terror. And terror is a very, very, very powerful low vibrational energy. And while the ritual is going on and being conducted in this human realm by the Satanists, these entities, some of them anyway, are overseeing the ritual, and they're feeding off that energy of terror that's coming off in the form of frequency from the victim. That's the gift to the gods. And you know, if you look at someone in a state of high emotion, you can see from their body language and their facial expressions that they're in a state of emotion. What you can't see, because it's outside of visible light, are the frequencies coming off them that relate to that emotional and mental state. They are astral frequencies that we're giving off. And they're going into this astral dimension, which these entities are feeding off. And what also happens when in states of terror is a chemical reaction happens in the blood which infuses it with adrenaline. And that's adrenochrome that has been talked about by some conspiracy people over the years, that these elite drink. And I've talked to people who've taken part in these rituals, often against their will. Sometimes they're people who've seen the light and come away from it. And they describe how when these people drink this adrenaline-laced blood at these rituals of the sacrificial victim, they go crazy. It's like an elixir. It's like a drug to them. And this guy, Robert Monroe, was so skillful at this astral projection, astral traveling, that eventually the US military got involved, their psychological wing, and they set up a study called the Gateway Study.
The Gateway Program, Monroe Institute.
Exactly. And they got other people together who had this ability to astral travel. And they did this study, and it was a classified study, but eventually the CIA declassified it, and it's been circulating ever since, more recently, even more. And they decided in this report by this military guy who was overseeing the Gateway study, they decided reincarnation was real. They decided that the Earth, or our reality, not just the Earth, our reality in all its forms is holographic, which is what I've been saying for a very, very long time, going back even before the millennium. And the people in the Gateway Project experienced in the astral dimension so many reptilian entities that they gave them in the Gateway Project the collective name of the alligators. And what I've been saying over the years is that the focus of this reptilian manipulation, and it's not just reptilian, I mean, it seems to be a dominant form within this Archon astral kind of army. But it's not only reptilian, there's lots of other non-human forms as well. But they call them the alligators because they met so many, they experienced so many of them. And, you know, you therefore have this structure where you have this astral dimension which is driving the human agenda for more and more control. And towards this AI human fusion, ultimately, and we're not far from that, the way things are going. In fact, it's already happening. And this global cult is operating within the human frequency band, manipulating human society, to produce this loosh, more and more reasons to produce low vibrational energy. I mean, people, you know, they say all the time, oh yeah, the authorities, they're always using fear to get people to do what they want. Yeah, but they're not using fear only to get what they want, but because if you're in a state of fear, you are generating this low vibrational energy, which they're feeding off. I mean, you know, it's like we're their sustenance. And you know, in the Matrix movie, when the Morpheus character held up the battery and said that the Matrix is a computer-generated dream world built to turn humans into one of these. It was a profound truth within an apparently fictional movie. That's basically what is happening.
If you want to read more and watch more of my content, then go to the description under the video where you can buy my books. The latest one is The Roadmap, where you can get tickets for public events, and how you can subscribe to a fantastic video channel called Iconic, iconic.com.